Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John, coming to you from All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. You've all heard the phrase that you can't judge a book by its cover. It's an important thing to learn, to internalize, and to practice in life, making sure that we are not thinking that we know what something is at its core just because what it looks like on the outside. Well, today's story is about that. It's about a time when the Bishop of Comana died in the 3rd century. And so St. Gregory the Wonder Worker from nearby Neo-Caesarea was called to preside at a council to elect a new bishop of Comana. And so he came in and he called this council, and people came. There were clergy and lay people alike there. And he began to talk to everyone and find out who it was that they thought would be best suited to be the new bishop of Comana. Well, all these different people came forward and they had all these different suggestions and these different names. They were all talking about externals, the way this person dresses or the way this person carries himself or how he speaks. And they were talking about all these external things. And St. Gregory said, listen, I don't want you to focus on externals. I want you to focus on the spirit of the man and the spiritual capabilities of the man. And somebody called out in the crowd, we should just elect Alexander the charcoal burner as our new bishop. And everybody begins to laugh, and the whole council erupts in laughter. Well, St. Gregory the Wonder Worker, he thinks, probably it's no accident that this man's name is being brought up at this council. So he says, bring me this Alexander. The people are shocked. They're like, bring Alexander, the charcoal burner? So they go and they bring him in, and he is in rags, head to toe. They're falling off his body. They're just black as soot. He was a charcoal burner. That means, and I did have to look this up, by the way, that means he's somebody who carbonizes wood and basically makes charcoal, right? It's a very, very dirty job. Involves fire and flame and soot and ashes and smoke, and it's a very dirty job. So St. Gregory calls him aside privately, and he says, I need you to tell me. He says, you need to tell me, who are you? And so Alexander said, well, I was a Greek philosopher, well-renowned, very highly educated. And he said, once I came to understand the gospel of Christ, I left it all behind, and I decided that I need to live the life of a fool for Christ, no longer to seek the praise of men. So Bishop Gregory says to these others, I want you to go take him, get him cleaned up, bring some new clothes, and bring him back. And so they did. They brought him back, and he was all cleaned up, and he comes in front of the council, and the bishop begins to question him. And the men are looking at him. They're like, is this Alexander? It doesn't look like Alexander. Is that Alexander? They couldn't figure out if it was him. And then he opened his mouth and started answering the bishop's theological questions. And everybody was astounded what an incredible understanding, what a grasp of the Holy Scriptures that this Alexander, the charcoal burner, had. They were so taken by him, they unanimously agreed that he should be elected as the new bishop of Comana. It's just a beautiful story, and it's so important for us to remember, my dear brothers and sisters, that we are not to judge one another. We're not supposed to judge one another. We are to love one another and leave the judgment to God. What a beautiful story. St. Alexander, the charcoal burner, pray unto God for us. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.